Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. And we're getting close to the holidays. We're also getting close to our 8-year anniversary. Wow. It's been a long, long ride.
January, you say?
Well, technically, we had our pilot in December.
Okay.
And then we started on January.
Nice.
2017.
Congratulations.
Wow. It's a long, long time.
It's not an easy feat. Very good.
How was your Thanksgiving, Jen?
It was great. I had a chance to see my mom and dad and brother and niece, and then some friends, of course. So it was really nice. We had St. Louis has funny weather. It was the day we got there was 55, and the kids were outside, and it was lovely. And 4 days later, we were getting ready to leave, and snow was coming down. So it was like you have a little bit of both when you're in St. Louis, for sure. Midwest in general.
So the big question is, I always hear about St. Louis ribs. So when you go to a place a restaurant in St. Louis, you say ribs, or do you have to say St. Louis ribs?
That's a good question. I don't really recall seeing that on many menus in St. Louis. Yeah, you know what, though? I think St. Louis knows where they kind of stand. Yes, they have good ribs, but they know that Kansas City is, right down the road, so they don't try and flex too much. They know that Kansas City has it has that number one spot, I think, for barbecue.
And in football, too. All right.
Yeah. Don't rub that in. Football's a sore spot with St. Louisans.
Well, we took the team in L.A.
Yeah,
no
yeah,
problem.
I heard. Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
I heard, yeah.
Anyway, for all of you that came in to tune in to learn about Ask Brien, AskBrien, we have our resident expert, Tracy. Are you there?
I am here, but I just realized that I might be having some technical difficulties. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you fine.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, if for some reason I drop out, Jen, you're going to have to take over because you're the second in command on the resident E's.
All right, sounds good.
Second in command? That's kind of... She's equal. She just has other activities she's
That's all
working
right.
on.
I'll take the second spot. That's good. Because
Okay,
first
you
in
know
command
what?
means she's got to deal with you.
I was meaning second in command to you, Peter, because you're always the boss, man. So, But that's okay. I much prefer working alongside people than above or below people because that is the leadership way, right? That is a way to be an extraordinary leader. So thanks for pointing that out.
Well, just to let you know, for the people that used to watch Mary Tyler Moore, I'm the Ted Knight.
Oh, okay. And you're also 100. So we'll just let that slide. Okay, but in all seriousness, not only is she really the true boss of the show, so we all know who first in command is, and that's our engineer Jen, right, Jen? And we do think you're extraordinary.
I'll take it. Thank you, Tracy.
Well, you're very welcome. And I guess, since we're just going to continue with this pun, second only to our engineer is will be and is our experts. And again, today does not disappoint.
Well, I guess
there's some technical difficulties she's talking
about. I guess those
about.
technical difficulties have come in. So
yeah.
And I know you are second in command, but...
And there she goes, yeah. Well, second in command, we can pick up with our E's, obviously.
Well, let's see how many E's you know, and then I'll help you out with the rest.
We're talking about our E is for expert, of course, which we have experts on every week, and we have a wonderful expert coming up here shortly. I think education is a great E.
What qualifies you to be an expert?
Oh, gosh, you're going to make me do the math, isn't it? Let's see, 10 hours a day?
So it comes out. That's a good one. Anyway,
I don't know if it's that.
There are 50 weeks in a year.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay. And then you're going to multiply it out by how many hours? 8?
Well, we're assuming
40 hours a week.
8, but that's...
Right, so that's 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Times 50 is 2,000. Times 5 is 10,000 hours. So we expect everyone to have 10,000 hours to be an expert, but we know that nobody that has their own business can only work 40 hours a week, which is what you're alluding to. So, and Tracy, are you there? I guess not. I guess it really is. She really is out of out of this world. All right. So anyway, that's how you come to 10,000 hours. What other E's are there?
Well, the only one I can think of is ego, and I know that
I don't know what that means.
that pertains to somebody in this room. Yeah.
Jen, your ego isn't that bad.
No.
All right. So while she gets coordinated there, we're going to go over a couple of things. First of all, one of the E's in Ask Brien is for education. Why? We try to educate people through business, either having a founder of the company come on or someone that has a specialized area, like could be Facebook ads, could be anything. That's one of them. Is Tracy there?
Oh, I'm back, but I'm hoping this isn't going to be the theme for this show today. But I don't know if you got through the experts. It sounds like it. Did you get through the education? I know you didn't cover the empathy. I know you didn't cover that while I was gone.
He tries to skip that one.
We never heard of that word, but it sounds like a good one. You know, someday we'll look it up in the dictionary. Anyway.
Well, I think everyone's having empathy for me because I'm having technical challenges today, so I'll just leave it at that.
Well, anyway, we do have to get to the show, so let's try to go quickly because we have unfortunately taken a little longer than anticipated. So we've got the education, we've got the experts, okay? We've got the empathy, we've got the ego, we've got the engineer. What else you got?
I got enthusiasm over here. I have enthusiasm. What do you have?
Excitement!
I'm just going to turn his mic off. How's that?
Kind of like,
oh, my God.
Because my hero is Sam Kinison, the Screamer.
Well, that makes sense.
Okay. Well, I just want to say, for the sake of not having our expert today run out screaming, perhaps we should get to my favorite and then.
Well, since you probably can't hear because it sounds like you're off a little bit, it's Grease Lightning is what?
Electrifying, and so are we.
Woohoo. All right, so each week we try to go through those E's, and each week we kind of have a little bit of a variation of that. We're never exactly on point. Anyway, we are here today. We have a very special guest, and is she there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Okay, hold on one second. So the first question we have is, you currently have a business, but before you started your business, give us a little background, a minute or two, of who you are before you started your business.
Well, before I started my business, I was an excited new graduate student of physical therapy, and I knew I loved the medical field and learning about the human body, and I loved working with people. Shortly after grad school, I worked for a physical therapy company that was then bought over by a physical therapy factory. I would see about 40 patients a day, and at the end of the day be burnt out and tired and not even know my name. By the time I saw my first patient and said hello to that first patient, the second patient was here, and that would be my work day. And I realized that that wasn't the way to live life or even help people. And so I resigned from that job, and on that resignation day, they said, well, maybe we can give you more money. And I knew in that moment that I was doing the right thing. I resigned. I traveled to 13 countries, Europe, all over the world, and I came back to New York, and I said, I'm going to start my own company where it's one patient every hour at a time.
Wow. Where in New York? Because New York's got...
We're based in Midtown Manhattan, but if you have a computer or an iPhone, we can see you via telehealth in many states.
Cool. I'm originally from New York, and my dad used to work in Manhattan on 225 West 39th Street between 7th and 8th Avenue, if you know where that is.
Oh, yeah, we're at 129 West 29th Street, so just a mile away.
You're actually not too far from Penn Station on the other side.
Yeah, you can see Penn Station from our office right there.
So now, first of all, interesting part. So what is visiting 13 countries? Is that you were kind of burnt out and you just want to get into your Zen mode to figure out what to do? Or what's the 13 countries after you left your job?
Well, you know, I knew I loved to travel, but I haven't really traveled much. And at that point in my life, I went to visit family in the Caribbean a lot, and that was my frequent spot. But I said, well, I'm going to travel. And I just would open the globe literally and say, where do I want to go next? And look up travel destinations and packages on a budget, was smart about it. And I just look up traveling groups for people who are single, and I just do it. Just hop on a plane, and London, where my mom's sister lived, was my starting point. And I would just go to Italy, go to France, go to Germany, go to Iceland, and just travel and meet strangers who became friends. And I got a lot of unsolicited advice and a lot of character and personal development, and I became a different person.
So now this business that you started, what's the name of that business?
Mobility Health Physical Therapy.
So does that mean you're going to people's houses to do the physical therapy? Or?
Exactly. So if you live in Manhattan, Brooklyn, or Queens, in New York, we can come to your home or office.
Now, well, first of all, as a lawyer, I'll have some questions to you later on about liability issues because I am a lawyer. Yeah, but let's pass that one for right now. I'll do it later on the show. The question we have is, so what is the difference between your business and any other physical therapy business? Is it just that you are willing to travel to their location?
No, ideally, we develop a treatment plan based on the person's goals. So if you want to be able to run a marathon, if you want to be able to travel with your grandkids, we are trying to create that experience by creating the exercises and things that you need to do to get to where you need to be after you're finished with the physical therapy.
So typically, let's say I was living in Flushing, Queens, and I wanted to use your service. So I guess you give them, the process would be you give them a questionnaire to fill out, and one of those is the goals, or walk us through the process.
Well, you give us a call, we book our first appointment, and, we come to your home, and we sit and we talk. That's the most important part of the physical therapy, is talking about your needs. It's the physical is there, but we have to know what to do. And so we're going to talk about what's hurting, what you're having challenges with, and where do you want to be when you're done with the physical therapy.
Well, so that's the first question. Are you done? Because I would think some people, lifetime, and some people, hey, I just need it for that specific event. So it's kind of broken up into those two groups, I would think.
Yes, some people are part of our maintenance program where they have physical therapy maybe 3 times a month or maybe even 1 time a month for follow-ups. But in general, it's about a 3-month turnaround. If you have a major surgery like a hip replacement, that may be a little bit longer. But on average, clients usually come for 3 months. The first month coming very frequently, or we go into their house very frequently, and the second month a little less, and the last month it's kind of like we're slowly breaking up with you, and you have to find a personal trainer or a Pilates instructor to help you do different things once your functional physical therapy needs are met.
When did you start the company?
7 years ago. Okay,
it's almost the same as the radio show. It's 8 years. So,
oh wow! Okay,
we almost started together. I'm doing hosting, and you're doing physical therapy. How many people do you have working in your business right now?
We have a team of 5 physical therapists that can help people across the tri-state.
And how do people find out about you?
They can go to our website at mobilityhealthpt.com.
But do you get most of your clients through referrals, or do you getting them through advertising, or are you getting them through HMOs, or what's typical?
A lot of people look us up online. They'll say, they Googled us. But most of our referrals are typically from happy previous patients who really loved and appreciated our services and got better quickly, and they send their friends or family member to us.
And of course, in this area, I have to ask: you take insurance or not?
Yes, we do take some insurances.
And the typical thing is what you said: 3 months, 13 weeks. Is that the typical?
Yes.
And you have it broken down. So one category is, so for instance, you mentioned marathons or something along those lines, I thought. So if somebody wants to train for marathon, do you help them out on that? Or is that just...
Yes, we can. So typically there's a specific training regimen for marathons in terms of, running 6 miles and then 10 miles and ramping up your mileage as time goes on. Sometimes when you're increasing your mileage of running, you may get some stress and strain to parts of the body. So we would assess the patient and see where they're strong, where they're weak, what's tight, and make sure that their transition to full running marathon stage is pain-free and without injury.
Now, the 5 people, that includes you, or is it 5 people besides yourself?
Besides myself.
And those are physical therapists, but you have to have staff to do that, right? It's not just, if there are 5 people out giving physical therapy, there's got to be people in the office. I mean, the accounting and all the other areas. So is it 5 in total, or?
Everyone else is remote. You just need a physical therapist and a patient, and they do their thing. Our office management is remote. There's no paperwork. Everything is done online. Yeah.
And then you mentioned earlier that one of the ways you get people is through referrals, right? Well, the first
Yes.
person you didn't get through, maybe the first person you got through a referral, but it takes a while to build that up. Do you do marketing to doctors and other people that may be surgeons that may need people? I mean, where are you marketing to on the medical side for referrals?
So we do have a close relationship with a lot of the orthopedic surgeons and primary care doctors in the Manhattan area, and we do get a lot of referrals from them because they trust that we can take care of their people.
And then your website is another source you mentioned. So on that website, are you educating people there, or first of all, what is your website address?
Mobilityhealthpt.com.
Now, I don't know if you know the answer to this question.
Mm-hmm.
About what percentage of physical therapists in the tri-state area are doing it mobile? If you have an idea, you may not know the answer.
We are at the lower percentage, so I'd say probably in New York City, probably about 15% of the therapists are mobile. Most people have a clinic. We do have a clinic space, but we kind of fill all the buckets. So depending on what a patient needs, if they want to come to our clinic, they can. If they want a service to their home, we can take care of them. If they want a telehealth physical therapy session, we can handle that. So not many physical therapy clinics offer all 3 aspects of access of care.
So let's go through telehealth. So what is that? Somebody online finds out that either I had surgery or that I'm training for a marathon or whatever sources you have. They schedule a consultation with you or somebody else, and then from there you come up with a plan. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so ideally we get a lot of telehealth visits from people who may live in a remote area. You just had a major knee surgery. You can't drive. The nearest physical therapy place is 20 miles away. So you still want to get taken care of and treatment. So, they call us and we're able to take care of them. Or their nearest physical therapy place doesn't have an appointment for 2 months and they just had surgery and they need care. And they call us and say, well, hey, I'm not even sure how this works, but I can't get an appointment for physical therapy in person otherwise. And I usually tell them, well, keep your appointment and start with us and we'll see. And then 2 months later when that appointment comes, they say, you know what? My in-person physical therapy appointment is today, but I'm going to cancel that because this is working. It's great.
Now, so that's a good, interesting thing. So how can you be different than other physical therapists that you can get them in right away?
Well, we just have the flexibility, ideally, because sometimes if you're in one of those physical therapy places where like I used to work, where it has, 40 clients a day, you don't get the one-on-one care that you need. So recovery takes 6 months, a year. Our process is not that long because we are spending the one-on-one time to ensure that people are getting better faster. So our schedule is not overloaded with people who we're not helping. So once you're better, we discharge you, you go back to your family, your life, and then somebody new starts.
Well, that's an interesting point. Now, I do have to ask, are you more expensive than these factories? Because I would think a factory, they've got so many people, people coming in, and they're probably seeing, what, you said 40 people in a day. I mean, if you're working even 8 hours, that's crazy. I mean, that's what, 10 minutes in person?
Yes, it is. That's why I ended up in Europe. So with those other companies, they are charging actually the same exact price.
Wow. So how does your model scale out? Because these factories obviously are making good money and they're charging the same price and they're going to see a lot more people. So how do you stand financially compatible with those companies?
Well, what happens is it's quality of life. I am still making more money than I did when I was a physical therapist working in that type of factory practice because they usually pay the physical therapist pennies and they make a lot of that money as the business owner. And so I'm very content with the amount of money I'm making.
Well, and I would think a lot of their money is going to overhead to make themselves.
Yes, that we don't have the amount of overhead for the real estate and the staffing because they're remote. It's reasonable.
All right. Unfortunately, we have to take a quick break. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHS 1220 and 98.1 FM. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Like no other station in the world. We are like no other station in the world. Who does that? Who does that? All right. Well, the show must go on. Tracy, without dropping out, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you willing?
To pick.
And are you able?
I am. And so I would like to pivot for a moment and really talk through. So there's something that you mentioned that really resonated with me, and you said, I'm very content with the how you have scaled your business and where you are. And what that really says to me is that you are a really example of a great entrepreneur who's really thriving in your business and looking at all areas of your life, not just the bottom line. And I just wondered if you might share a little inspiration around that, because I know, working in that, as you referenced, factory, PT probably calls you PTSD, but can you share some of the ways that you really thrive in your business outside of just your profit and loss statement?
Well, I wanted to have a business where I'd have a flexible personal life. I didn't have children at the time when I created the business, but now I have 3 children. I have a 6-month-old, a 3-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And I'm married, I have a husband, I have aging parents, and I wanted to have that flexibility in schedule. If my kids have a recital, I don't want to have to ask my boss, can I please take off so I could go to my kids' recital without feeling that personal guilt. I wanted to find a good work-life balance. I love work, but I do want to spend time with my family and have time for me to go to the gym or, go get my nails done and live my life in a way that feels meaningful because I'm helping people, but I'm still taking care of myself and the people around me.
And are there any specific tips that you could give to our entrepreneurs that are listening out there that really help you keep those boundaries? Because I know in my own experience, I will say that that's what I want for my life, but my business can literally take over my life. So I was curious if you could share some tips around that.
Sure. The tip is to really learn how to delegate. Get an assistant to do some of the things that are not directly related to your business. For example, for me, I built my own website. I was doing my own Google Ads. I was doing my own bookkeeping. And little by little, I outsource those tasks because I'm not an excellent bookkeeper. I'm an okay bookkeeper. I'm a physical therapist. That's what I know how to do. So hiring those experts really freed up my weekends. I was able to just go to the park and spending 2 weekends doing my books. And that is where my self-care really thrived, and I was less stressed about the work of the business and really happy about just doing the physical therapy part about it.
And did you feel like that you had to get to a certain revenue? Because I know we're trying to have a conversation that's not all about the money, but at the same time, I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs get really stuck, is a bit of a chicken and egg scenario of they really need to feel like they need to hold on to their cash flow before they delegate, but then their self-care goes out the window because they're trying to hold on to their cash flow. So it's any suggestions on how to analyze where you were in your business when you knew you felt confident in beginning to delegate?
That's a great point, Tracy. But I'm really big on, if I have an idea, talk to the people who are experts in that idea. So the first person I hired was my personal assistant. And I was thinking initially, when I get to this X dollar amount, I will hire an assistant. And when I talked to different people who had virtual assistant companies, they discussed with me, the actual potential, because if I'm working and seeing patients 8 hours a day, if my phone rings, I can't pick up because I'm doing patient care. The second I decided to get my virtual assistant, that first quarter, my income doubled because she was answering the phone and booking appointments for me. And but if someone wants service for physical therapy, they're in pain. If they call me and I don't pick up, they immediately hang up the phone and call someone else. So that's lost business. So I gained so many customers in that time from just understanding that freeing up my time to see patients and having someone be able to work for me and make those phone calls, book those appointments, call the insurance company was of great value to me.
And I think I would imagine that then gave you the confidence, basically having the proof that worked for you and was actually an investment versus an expense. Then that probably gave you the confidence to then expand. What was your next delegation hire after that?
The next hire was a biller. With physical therapy, there's a lot of billing and a lot of codes that you have to understand. And I understand all those codes. I'm very good with it. However, someone who's a biller can do that service probably in a day, what would take me 2 days to do. And so that, again, freed up a lot of my time.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you, and then what was the third? Because I think this is such a good conversation for entrepreneurs who are just starting out to hear how it worked for you. And then, so what was the third?
The third, because numbers were doing so great, I was actually getting so busy doing patient care. So naturally, I thought hiring a part-time physical therapist to help with the caseload to then decrease my caseload so we can kind of have an even schedule.
Yeah, I love all of that. I think that's so smart and such a good strategy. And we as entrepreneurs, kind of going back into the mode of being, tireless and working all the time and exhausting ourselves. I know our environment of the office of that, or where we work and how we work, can make such a big difference as to whether or not we might even need a physical therapist. So, we only have about 60 seconds before we take a break, but what is probably your first tip, and then we'll get some more when we come back, but what is your first tip of, if people follow one thing, what is the best tip you can give somebody who's working in their office most of the day?
If you're working in your office most of the day, you need to find time to break. Even if it's 5 minutes, you want to get up and stretch, and it can be just some neck stretches, just do some, heel raises, just move your body, because sitting for 8 hours is really going to put a strain on your back and your neck and even your butt. So just get up and move, block those times and make it automatic so you don't have to think about it, so that you don't get overbooked.
Well, we're going to be taking a quick break. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. And now a word from our sponsor.
And we want to say thank you to our sponsor, LegalSteps.com, LegalStepz. That's spelled with a Z.com. Listening to Dr. Gina talking about her business, and she started it 7 years ago. And I really doubt that she sat there and thought, oh, you know what, I'm not going to take the extra steps, the extra legal steps, if you will, to get this business started. No, she jumped right into it. She probably took a lot of risks, and I'm assuming would have loved to have something like Legal Steps on her side. If you're thinking of starting your own business, you really should check out LegalSteps.com. There, you are able to take a couple of different classes. You can take a class to learn how to register a trademark, form an S corporation, form an LLC. I took one of these courses and I was able to complete the entire course in less than 2 hours. I loved that I can work at my own pace. I was able to pick a Saturday afternoon that worked for me and pause it, rewind it if I missed something. And I really loved that I could see what the legal expert was talking about. So they were kind of guiding me with like a screen and screen. So I could see their screen, I could see my screen. I knew I was answering the questions the right way. And it was really kind of super easy. You just followed along. All of these courses are reviewed by an attorney. And those attorneys, by the way, have over 30 years experience. So you're not dealing with somebody who's brand new. You're dealing with people who know what they're doing, and you can follow along with their expert guidance. And if you get stuck, if you're frustrated and you don't know how to answer these questions and you don't know what the next step is, they'll just do it for you. It really could not be any easier. All of the courses are also very affordable, under $150. So don't let something like that get in your way. Obviously, we all know that times are tough, things are tight. The cost of everything is going up. But for $150, you've been thinking for however many months, maybe years, that, I should start my own business. Don't let $150 get in the way of that. Go to legalsteps.com, legalstepz.com.
Well, thank you, Jen, and thank you to our sponsor, Legal Steps.
Indeed.
Woohoo! All right. Well, we're back with the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 in 98.1 FM. Tracy, go ahead.
Okay.
Make my day.
Before the break. Every day.
I'm talking about Clint Eastwood, but go ahead.
I know. I got the reference. I'm 100 too. I get it.
I must be too. I get it.
But let's be really clear. I didn't say 102. I just said 100 also. All right. So before the break, we were talking about as an entrepreneur or just someone who's working in an office on a daily basis, how important it is to get up and take a break. So I have a very specific question for you. What if you're one of those people that just doesn't do well with setting your boundaries on your schedule, and you book Zoom calls back to back? So let's say you start at 10 in the morning and you book and you try to, let's say, have a few minutes in between, but the calls run over and then you end up having 3 or 4 calls back to back. First of all, I guess that's just a big no. You just shouldn't do it, right? But then if you do, is there anything you can do while you're maybe on the Zoom call that could be giving your body some relief that might not be distracting to the person you're on the call with?
Oh, yeah, definitely. What you can do is you can change your view in the Zoom. So if you change it where you're not looking at yourself, that will decrease the eye strain, because some studies show if you're looking at yourself through the entire Zoom video, that puts a huge strain on your eyes. It's like looking in the mirror all day. And even though you may like how you look, that would just decrease the pressure on your eye strain. You can also even occasionally gaze away from your computer so your eyes are looking far, and then just look back at the screen. That'll take some pressure off the muscles of your eye.
Oh, I love that. Also, like, sometimes your eyes glaze over on some of these calls. So if maybe if you are using them as a diversion, it won't be so noticeable. Okay. So what do you recommend? So for those people who are good at setting boundaries and do end their calls on time and do have the time in between the calls, what are maybe the top 3 things that they should do during that break?
They hydrate. They should drink water, definitely, all throughout the day. It's important. They can do some basic neck stretches, just moving their head left to right, and they can get up and walk. They can walk to a different room or go for a walk outside. Many studies have shown even just taking that break, when you come back, you'll be even more productive. So trying to power through your workday, your productivity usually goes down. So you're fooling yourself if you're not taking that break.
And kind of stepping away from just the Zoom routine, although I know, that's a really big part of people's days now. What about your office setup itself? Are there certain tips that you would recommend if someone, let's say, for example, has a desk where they're sitting all day versus having a desk maybe where they have the option to stand up and work?
Yes, you want to alternate your positions. If you can get a setup where you can sit part of the day, stand part of the day, that's ideal. Also, you want to get your desk station checked. You can have a physical therapist in your town check it. You can give us a call. We can do an assessment by having you take pictures from certain angles, and we can tell you how high to have your desk, what seat height you want to have, and where to put your monitor.
I think this is such an underestimated conversation. I really personally have some really serious shoulder issues happening right now as a result of not having my shoulders aligned at my stand-up desk for years. And it's just something that literally never crossed my mind. So how can we get more people talking about how important it is to have this right setup, but also that there are resources to support you? I never would have thought that I could have tapped into a physical therapist to help me get the right setup, and now I'm having to tap into a physical therapist to repair my injury.
Yes, well, they can check our website at mobilityhealthpt.com. We have lots of information about how to help yourself and make sure you're not getting injured, or you can just shoot us an email in the contact form.
And again, we have about 60 seconds before our break, but outside of the standing and sitting, is there a certain thing that if you're sitting that you should use, like a certain cushion or something like that for your spine?
Yes, there's a sacral relief cushion. It's about $25 on Amazon. You just put it in a chair. If you're sitting in a chair for a long time, or even when you're driving in the car, it takes the pressure off your entire spine. So some people, if they're sitting for 8 hours and they have pain, that'll extend their pain-free time window of being able to sit comfortably without too much pressure on their back.
Well, and we'll put the link to that in the show notes. Could you give us a specific brand on that?
It's a general brand. I don't have a brand I can call out right away, but if they want, they can, check us at the website, mobilityhealthpt.com, and we can show them which ones are best for you, because it goes by sizes, small, medium, large, depends on the person. It's very individual in terms of, certain equipment, what we recommend.
We're going to take a quick break.
Good to know.
We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. We are back. Listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Go ahead, Trace.
Yes, Dr. Gina, you have just been a wealth of information, and I just feel certain we haven't even tapped only tap the surface of all the amazing information that you can share. So if our listeners want to continue this conversation, get in touch with you, learn more about your services, and just tap into that resource library in your brain, how would people go about doing that?
They can go to my podcast. I also have a podcast. It's called Health, Wealth, and Relationships, Thriving in the Balancing Act, where I speak a lot about what you can do and how to balance your life. And I also bring on experts with an E. And you can find my podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you can find your podcast.
Wow, that's amazing. And while you're looking for Dr. Gina's podcast, now what's the name of your podcast, Dr. Gina?
Health, Wealth, and Relationships, Thriving in the Balancing Act.
Love that. Okay, so while you're looking for Dr. Gina's podcast, go ahead and search the Ask Brien podcast as well so that you can re-listen to this episode of the live Ask Brien radio show and all of our back catalog as well. And we, too, are on all your favorite listening platforms. Find both of us and just keep digging and keep learning.
Well, so, Doc, I have a question. You mentioned delegation.
Sure.
You mentioned delegation, and obviously that's the only way you can really scale a business, because one person can only do so much in life, right? You have to have delegation. But I think the big factor here is when you delegate, rarely are you going to get somebody as qualified as yourself. So how do you limit the risk that you're going to end up with somebody that could actually make your sales go down or make the accounting go bad or whatever? What do you look for in people that you're going to retain?
Well, of course, if I'm looking at a resume, I'm looking for the experience of the therapist and how much knowledge they have in taking care of people. But that's baseline. I'm really looking for personality and what drives them. Are they a compassionate person? Are they committed to what they say they're going to do? In asking them about their past experience and their past goals, do they check those boxes as somebody who is committed to being a helper and caring for people? And that's what matters, especially in my field. And so that's how I try to really wean out those people who are just, in it for the money, or really want to take care of somebody's grandma or somebody's dad and make sure that they're better. So it often goes back to when I ask the therapist in the interview, why did they want to be a physical therapist? What brought them to that field? Or even if it's a bookkeeper, what brought them? If it has a reason of compassion that drives them, they tend to be a more even keel person like myself.
Another question we had is, so you're offering telemedicine on this physical therapy. Is it just in the tri-state area, or can it be anywhere in the United States, or are there certain states you can and cannot be in?
Currently, it's in the tri-state area and California. However, in the next 9 months, we will adopt 35 states. And so by the end of the next year, many people will be able to have telehealth services with my company.
Now, does that require any licensing requirements, or not?
There's a compact act that once you have a license in one state, you can be shadowed into other states.
Much different than the law. As a lawyer, I know
Yeah.
how difficult it is. You have to pass a bar exam everywhere. All right. That's why attorneys never pass a drink, because they're always passing the bar. All right. So, all right. Now, one caller called in and they asked us about the cushion. So, what is the name of the cushion? You had a little bit of time now. Have you figured it out?
It's called a sacral relief cushion.
And where can people get that?
They can look it up on Amazon, and I'll give you a brand right now.
And spell the name.
SACRALRELIEF.
And now remember, folks, this is not a whoopee cushion. This is a different type of cushion.
You had to do it. You just had to.
I had to. I'm a clown.
Yeah, Everlasting Comfort's a good brand.
Super. Unfortunately, we have come to the end, but you've been a great guest. We will have you back on again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Over and out!